All right, I've never done this before, so well, there we go. The people back home will be so jealous.
Yeah.
You're probably wondering what's happening right now. Well, so was I. Truth is, none of this was supposed to happen. The beach, the camel ride, the trip to Karachi with my mother, returning to a country that she had fled 70 years ago as a refugee.
Did you ever think you'd be doing this?
I was not planning on this.
It's going to be a journey of surprises, I think.
Yes.
What are you thinking right now?
It's amazing. I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
You never thought you'd come back here?
Never, never.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
We're good.
Now I'm back with my son after 67 years.
Right. I'm not 67,
No,
just to be clear.
I'm back. I'm back after 67 years. In between, a lot of things happened because I was only 5. You cannot be 67.
Right. I tell people that my mom was a refugee when she was a young person.
I'm still a refugee. I never got a status back.
My mom was a survivor of one of the bloodiest partitions in our world's history, the religious wars between Hindus and Muslims in India and Pakistan.
You left everything you owned.
Everything we owned just because we did not know how long and where we were going, we did not know that also. I tell you, one good thing happened out of all this. You know, when you take a ball and you hit hard, it goes up higher. Harder you hit, harder it goes up, right?
Well, here you are.
We are in Tarusha.
This is it. This is your roots.
This is the roots. That's where I came.
Pick it up.
Sure.
Let's go. Let's go look. It's hard to believe, but my mom hasn't been back here in 70 years. She hasn't seemed to miss a beat, though. She's asking right now in Sindhi if anybody in this small village recognizes her maiden name, Hingorani.
Hingorani kite randa ha? Hingorani kite? This is my Tarusha.
So you walk through here, does anything look familiar?
I think that sewer looks familiar, and that those doors, they look familiar.
These doors over here?
Yeah, one of these doors can be my house.
Really?
Yeah.
You want to knock and take a look?
We can try, see if somebody will open.
It's worth a shot. We've come all this way. I see some movement back there.
अंदर आ सकते हैं? सलाम वालेकुम. सलाम वालेकुम. मैं देखना चाहती हूँ कि ये मेरा घर है क्या? मैंने ना छोड़ के गए थे, तो देखती हूँ मैं ऐसा ही था, लेकिन अभी we used to have like this.
Courtyard like this?
Courtyard like this, and the swing used to sit like in this one portion.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So what do you think?
It's amazing. Can you believe I lived in some place like this?
Do you think that this was your house?
Something, if not exactly same house, but something similar. It may be same house.
Does that look familiar?
Something like that used to be there. Temple we used to visit.
Is that right?
Yeah.
For some reason, I think it really strikes me to think that my ancestors used to go there and pray.
Pray. That's the only temple was there in town. That's how they lived. Not only one generation, but several thousand years they were here.
That's extraordinary. It's it's just that's our history.
Yeah.
You know, the thing is, history has a strange way of repeating itself. All the violence that my mom thought that she had left behind, well, I was about to see it for myself in a country that is still unsettled 7 decades later.
But first, word that the international airport in Pakistan's largest city, Karachi, is under attack right now by unidentified militants.
Let's get back to our breaking news story now. The attack on Karachi's international airport.
That's the same airport that we were supposed to fly out just hours from now.
And instead, we stayed up all night reporting live on what started to happen.
These militants were literally cutting through barbed wire, trying to get through this fence, and that's what sparked a gunfight between commandos who patrol this 24-hour, 7-day-a-week airport and these militants.
People said, you should wake up your mom, you know, she's in the middle of a terrorist attack. The city's on lockdown. Mom's asleep. And the next morning we all come down, she's like, you know, she's there right on time. We're late, of course, because we've been up all night. She says, I thought we were all gonna meet at 9 o'clock. I said, yeah, I didn't get a chance to tell you this, but there was actually a terrorist attack on the airport last night. She said, yeah, but we were supposed to meet at 9 o'clock.
But you know, despite everything that was going on, I still got to do one of the most amazing things on this trip. Take a stroll with my mom on Karachi Beach.
I mean, you left your homeland into these waters and then never came back until today.
For 67 years.
So I look at this kind of water on the ocean and I think it's beautiful and I think I want to grab my surfboard and I want to go out there and surf.
Yes.
You look at that water and you see what?
I see it, that this is the water took me one day from this land.
It took you away.
Took me away from my home.
And these are the very steps that my mom and her parents and her grandparents stepped down before getting on a cargo ship bound for Bombay. These were awful times, and the partition of India was in full swing.
When I think about getting in a cargo ship at age 5,
Yes.
very uncomfortable, not knowing where I'm going, not knowing if I'm going to be safe, having just left everything that I owned in the world behind, I think I would be sick to my stomach. I mean, it would make me...
Sure, but I have a very brave mother.
Is your mother?
My mother, she reminded me every day, we have lost everything, but we have our courage, and we are not going to give up.
So once you're forced to leave your home, then...
Whole world is your home.
While my mom's family was forced to move from Tharusha to Karachi to Bombay, Bangalore, and then Baroda, my dad's family, they've really lived in the same place for thousands of years.
So we finally arrived here. It's hard to believe, but what you're looking at now is the oldest place so we can trace my father's ancestry back to. It's called Doab, India, and these are the people who still live here. You go first, Ed. There was a hero's welcome everywhere Dad went. Big crowds.
That was not because of me.
I think, but I think a lot of it was because of Mullah Chand, our great-grandfather, because he donated a lot of the land for the temples, and like he was a pretty charitable person, which was interesting. Just because, you know, you can hear somebody's name, you can hear where they lived, but then when you get a little bit of an idea of what kind of person they were, that's really fascinating. Well, as you can see, they've literally rolled out the red carpet for my father and I, meeting hundreds of relatives I didn't even know that I had. They even put up a sign here, which shows who my great-grandfather was. This is in Hindi. My grandfather, who was Lakshmi Chand Gupta, my father, Subhash Chandra Gupta. They're welcoming CNN. They're saying that I'm a renowned neurosurgeon, give me far more credit than I deserve, but they've welcomed us into the home. Let's go take a look. Any of this look familiar to you?
Well, all the construction has changed completely. But if I remember, then there was a stair going up from here.
These are the stairs, probably right here.
Yeah,
What's that?
completely renovated.
So it's different. The idea that I, tell my friends that my parents came from the other side of the world in very small towns and villages. I mean, this is it.
This is the very spot.
It's kind of humbling, right? I mean,
It's very humbling.
you started with nothing.
Yep.
When you finally went to the United States, I mean, how much did you have with you? And what were you able to take? What was your
Very
safety
big
net?
sum. I can give you some idea that They were probably, my father used to make 600 rupees a month.
600 rupees a month.
Yeah.
You made 600 rupees a month, and you needed to send you with 10,000 rupees.
Right.
I mean, that's more than a year's worth of.
More than a year, right? 2 years worth of, in terms of saving, if we talk about that, you can save that money.
It's incredible.
It's a big step for him.
Yeah.
We were about to take the biggest step in our own journey. Who were my ancestors? What kind of people were they? We found a key that could help unlock the answers to some of those questions.
It's amazing. So, with all the technology, all the things that exist in the world today, these handwritten scrolls may be some of the best records of our own family tree.
That is absolutely correct. This place is called Haridwar. This is called very sacred place, and the reason it's sacred is that river Ganges it flows from Himalayas all the way to the Indian Ocean. And you can see that a lot of people, they come here to bathe, and it's considered very holy.
Does the Gupta family feel a connection to this place?
Well, we came here lots of time when I was younger.
You see, in the United States, we record our lives at the time that we are born. But centuries ago, in many places, including India, they recorded their lives at the time of death. That's why so many people bring the ashes of their loved ones to scatter here in this holy river.
Reason they keep a lot of records over here. So, you know, I mean, you can go back several generations and find out who all came here.
So here it is, perhaps the most important moment of our whole journey. And there's my daughter, Soleil, fast asleep, passed out really, in my wife's lap. Now, in her defense, it was well over 100 degrees in that room, and there was no fan, no breeze.
हमारी फैमिली है जी, हमारी फैमिली है जी.
So back to 1698, we went back, that's how far it was?
And that's a lunar year. So
1698 is not the regular
year is even before that.
calendar year.
So it's even before that.
गैप तो 57 years.
7 years पहले होता है अपना जो होता है.
हाँ ये सन और
So roughly how many years back are we talking?
About 1600.
About 1600.
Yeah.
राम सुखदास जी है.
These records go back 40 generations. It's quite incredible. They started off writing on leaves, and when paper was actually created, they started writing on paper, and some of these records here go back hundreds and hundreds of years. We came here to find our roots, and today we've decided to leave some of our own as well. Perhaps our own family will see this hundreds of years from now.
मंगलम भगवान विष्णु मंगलम गर्वध्वज मंगलम पुंडरीकाक्षाय मंगलाय तनोहरि.
Do you feel a certain connection to the gods? I mean, what do you feel?
Yeah, you do feel closer to the God over here.
Now, the last time you were here was when your father, Bauji, passed away.
Yeah.
And it was important for you and your brother to come here and place the ashes here.
Right.
What is the meaning of that? What is the purpose of that?
Well, they just feel that this is getting the salvation.
So you think you want to cleanse your sins in the river?
Well, I'm not debating, but I think I've been forced enough. So
Are you debating whether you want to go, or debating whether you have sins?
Well, I'm sure I got some sins somewhere.
we all have
do.
sins.
There's something about searching for your roots that forces you to have experiences like that one, with your parents and with your kids. But you know, you're probably wondering, how did I come into this whole equation? Well, it's something that I alluded to when I gave the commencement address at my alma mater, the University of Michigan.
You see, not only was the foundation for most of my life conceived in this town, I myself was likely conceived in this town. Best bet is the 17th floor of the University Towers, though no one is talking for sure, still even after 43 years.
What does this mean to you, being here?
I think always amazing when I come here. You know, it just looks like it happened yesterday.
It's safe to say this is the first place you arrived in the United States.
That is correct.
Were you scared? Were you nervous? I mean,
To tell you that, I didn't know what the hell was coming next, you know, basically. I just, like, sometimes jump into the lake and you just let it go and say, well, whatever happens, happens.
right, right. And boy, do things happen. Sometimes when you least expect them. And in this case, at the corner of South University and South Forest Avenue in Ann Arbor. It's quite a story. Buckle your seatbelts. So your car broke down right around here?
Yeah, just maybe a block from here. And I was looking for a payphone.
So she finds a payphone and finds a phone book and starts leafing through it to see the first Indian name that she can find. Now, truthfully, I'm not so sure how far through the phone book she would have gone, but it turned out to be a moot point because someone answered the phone after that first ring. It wasn't the person she was trying to call, but it was that guy's roommate, her future husband, my dad. You remember this like crystal clear?
Crystal clear.
So an accidental phone call, and you guys end up
Meeting.
meeting, getting married.
Yes.
And then you have it.
Right. Is that a good part of the story or a bad part of the story?
That was the best part of the story.
Well, and then the rest is history, as they
Rest
say.
is history.
Good history.
Yes.
But I can say that my roots started right here.
That's right.
For sure.
Yes,
No doubt.
no doubt.
The young couple needed jobs, and they found them at a booming Ford Motor Company in Dearborn, Michigan. So you literally just walked in.
I just walked through those
August
things.
1967.
August 1967. And when I came, this person looked at my resume and he says, "Are you applying for engineering job?" And I said, "Anything wrong with that?" And he says, "But we don't have any woman engineers working here." I said, "Well, if you don't give me a chance, you wouldn't have any."
And she did become the first woman engineer ever at the Ford Motor Company.
When you finally were hired, the person who hired you told you to do something on the spot.
He says, "I cannot pronounce your name." So that's the time my name became Rani instead of Damayanti.
Which I should point out means queen in Hindi. Not sure what my mom was trying to say, but I think there's a metaphor in there somewhere. My dad, he also got sick of spelling his name every time someone asked, so he decided to change it as well.
So that's when he became Sam.
So I say, okay, well, this is it. Now I'm back to Subhash.
Back to Subhash and Damayanti now.
So how big a part of your roots would you say this place is?
You know, my good part of my life, I worked for Ford 34 years. And I think out of that, 20-some years, 24 years, I worked in this building.
Wow, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Everything for us and my brother and now my kids, I mean, this place made that possible in some ways. Yeah.
Life is a journey. You go through it, and you go through the phases of it. And each one of those phases does become a route for somebody. It may not be for you, but for your generations down.
I think more than any other place in my life, this is where I grew, I think, as a person. I think I came here as a 16-year-old kid, and I left here as a neurosurgeon. And today, the operating room, is where I still feel most at home. But what about my mom?
If anyone has that,
Was that really her home? We may never know. But I realized it hardly mattered. Because you see, my mom was suddenly a kid again.
as much as I used to do it 67 years back. Not bad, right?
Pretty good. You haven't lost your touch.
Yes.
And for my dad, it became clear that home would always be wherever his family was. That's the way it is for most of us. Home is a feeling. For me, for my parents, for all of us.
There are two tracks, one for coming and one for going.
I think it suddenly strikes you that in order to really understand where you're going, you have to understand from where you came.
From. Yeah.
That makes sense, huh? Now it makes more sense than ever.
Yes.